Good afternoon and welcome for being here. My name is Fiona and I'm a registered nurse, and I have a PhD in holistic nursing and a master's in holistic nutrition, and I'm also an herbalist. And I'm here visiting in town and teaching a couple classes, and I'm glad that you all joined us here. And some of the things I wanted to share with you when I'm speaking, if you're interested in asking any questions in the moment, raise your hand. I'll go back and forth. As long as we stay on the topic, that's fine. And if you have stuff that you want to interject with and say, I speak that way. I just don't speak the whole time without people really participating in the conversation. So my passion is to teach, and I love teaching about nutrition and holistic health and also about herbs. And what I focus on is trying to use food medicinally instead of other modalities. And so if somebody has joint pain or they have arthritis, I try to work with them and teach them how to use food medicinally so then they can be pain-free and they can be healthy and they don't have to take over-the-counter medications and also pharmaceuticals that have side effects. So for example, some of the things, if you have joint pain, which I brought up before, and you want to use something, you can use ginger, which is an anti-inflammatory. And you can also do, in the morning, you can have warm water with lemon juice, and just when you first get up, you have a glass of water with some lemon juice in it, and it basically just detoxifies you and gets your system going in the morning. So it really makes you feel a lot better, because when you're sleeping all night, and they call it breakfast, like break fast, you haven't had anything to eat usually for 6 to 8 hours, depending on how long you sleep. And so if you have a cup of warm water or a cup of water with some lemon juice, it just gets your system going, and it just kind of like cleans out your liver, cleans out your system, your kidney, and it gets you, so you're detoxifying basically in the morning first thing. So that really works. And then also ginger works. To use ginger with your cooking, and to use it, you can also make a ginger tea, and you just get fresh ginger, and you have to peel it because the skin is bitter on it, and you just take a tiny little piece, maybe about this big, an inch long, and then you can steep it in some hot water and put a little sweetener, but you can also put lemon juice in it. So that really helps too, instead of popping the pills and taking the drugs that all have side effects. A lot of times if you use food medicinally the way nature intended, then it's healing for us, and there aren't the side effects that you would have that if you took like over-the-counter drugs or pharmaceuticals. So some of the other things that are medicinal also is garlic. And if you're really hardcore, some people eat a raw clove of garlic every day, and they swear by it, that they just don't get sick and they don't get viruses because garlic is antiviral. And so I use it a lot of times in most of my cooking, probably not for breakfast, but for lunch and dinner. If I'm making something, I will make salad dressings with raw garlic. I will also saute it a little bit, but not very much, in, say, if I'm doing broccoli with soy sauce and some ginger and some garlic, and I saute it. I try to incorporate garlic usually in lunch and dinner. And I do have it raw, put it in raw when I make salad dressings also for salads. So if we try to think of trying to go back the way nature intended with us for using food medicinally. So for example, fruits, eating fruits in their natural state, strawberries, blueberries, mango, papaya, I can list all these different fruits that have a lot of vitamin C and a lot of good nutrients in them. And so the more things that you eat things in their natural state, the healthier it is. So sometimes by cooking things, it can take some of the vitamins out. Like you could cook some of the vitamins out of them. So if you eat more things in their natural state, bananas, apples, you know, instead of making an apple pie, if you just eat apples, you know, whole apple or whatever, and cut it up and maybe dip it in some kind of nut butter or whatever. So if you try to keep them in their original natural state, it's a lot healthier and you get a lot of nutrients from it. So I'm trying to think of what else. And then vegetables, I don't know if you all know much about kale, because kale's like the big thing. Kale is hardy. Some people complain because it's tough or it's chewy and it's difficult to eat, but it has a lot of vitamin C and it has a lot of minerals in it. And so there's a kale that I like, it's called lacinato kale, and it kind of looks like a feather, and you just pull the greens off of the stem, because the stem is really stiff, and then you rinse it, and you can chop it up, and then you just mix it with your hand. You're trying to break down the fiber and stuff to eat it raw, and you can put avocado in it, and then the avocado is like a dressing, and you can put lemon juice and some raw garlic and a little bit of maybe cayenne pepper and a little bit of salt or soy sauce or something. And I love eating that. I can eat that for lunch, you know, just have that raw, like a raw salad with something else. So kale has a lot of vitamins and minerals, a lot of vitamin C, it's very high in fiber, and it's very nutritional. And some people don't really know that you can eat, there's different kind of kales that you can eat them. You can cut them up and put them in soups, or you can cut them up and stir fry them. And so that's an option. And then spinach, you know, most people know about spinach, to eat spinach raw in salads, and to put a little dressing on it or something. And then another thing that's really good is, I don't know if sesame seeds, when you grind them up, it's tahini. I don't know if you all know that. So if you can get it ground up in a jar, and there's a really good salad dressing that I make that I like a lot, is I take the ground sesame seeds, a tahini, and then I put a little lemon juice in it, and I put a little raw garlic, and then I put a little sweetener, maybe agave or something, or if you want to use probably brown sugar or honey or something like that. And then, so it's tahini, lemon juice, raw garlic, a little bit of salt, a little bit of sweetener, and I use that, and then water, and I water it down a little bit. And I use that for salads, for salad dressings. And tahini is really high in calcium. So instead of taking a pill that they tell you take calcium pills, which actually I don't think are really good for you, because I think sometimes those things make you leach other things out of your bones and make your bones weaker. If you can get calcium from your food, kale, broccoli, tahini, and vegetables, then it's better for you than to actually take a pill and try to get calcium from that. I'm trying to think. There's, I don't know if anybody has any questions. Do you have any questions about anything so far? Okay, I do have a YouTube channel, and I also have a food blog, and a lot of times I'm posting things on the food blog, or I post videos when I'm speaking on the YouTube channel, and I do discuss these things. So food, going back to the way nature intended, and using food medicinally is better for us, and actually spending money on drugs and pills and vitamins and all these different things, because it's easier for us to absorb it and it's more natural for us. So it's a way that nature intended, is for us to really get our medicinal qualities from our food. So another thing is tomatoes. For example, tomatoes are high in vitamin C, and they have lycopene in them. And so trying to get eating more whole foods, plants, nuts and seeds, fruits and vegetables, and trying to eat more natural things. So the other thing that I talk about too is grains. If we need grains and we need carbs for energy. So the thing that we try, people are into eating a lot of white flour because they're used to it, and white flour and white rice and all those things are stripped of all their vitamins and minerals, and they're not really natural. So the best way to eat grains is to eat them sprouted. And you don't have to sprout them, because now you can go any place, really, even here in this area, and you can buy sprouted bread, you can buy sprouted rice, and sprouted granola, and because it's easier for us to digest it and to process it. So if you think, when you're thinking, and you're thinking to buy grains, try to buy them sprouted and whole grains, and not things that are processed, that are minimally processed. So in the freezer section at most of the grocery stores here, and I've seen them, they have this line of food called Food for Life, and God bless you, and they have breads and muffins and cereals, and they're sprouted, and they have about 10 different grains in them. They have wheat and amaranth and quinoa and barley and all these wonderful grains, and they sprout them for you, and then they make a bread out of it, they make a cereal out of it. And the breads are in the freezer section. It's called Food for Life. It's Ezekiel bread, and it is, you have to keep it in the freezer because it doesn't have any preservatives in it. And you just take it out, like 1 or 2 days. You can take it out to frost it in the fridge, or you can take it out, leave it out, and then just toast it and eat it. Some people don't toast it, eat it within a day or two. It's a different texture. People have to get used to it because it's really high in fiber, and it's not chewy, but it's not like white bread at all. It's got this more of a chewy texture, and then some people say, well, I don't know if I like it, and I said, well, you have to eat it a couple days and get used to it, and then you'll get used to eating it, and then you'll like it better than you do white bread. So it's really good for you, and it's got, some of them have, I think, 15 different grains in them sprouted, and it's got teff and trying to think of what else, but they're healthy breads. And then I usually, sometimes I'll make it on toast, and you could do like peanut butter or almond butter and jelly, or I do hummus. If y'all know what hummus is, I make hummus, which is chickpeas, and that is garlic and lemon juice. I do fresh garlic, lemon juice, water, with some chickpeas, and chickpeas are high in protein, so they're a good source of non-animal protein. And I make hummus, and then I put avocado on the toast, and then tomato and lettuce, and I have that sometimes for breakfast, which is really good. So there are so many, if you go grocery shopping, when you go grocery shopping, and you stay in the fruits and vegetables aisles and not go into the other aisles that are all processed, and kind of stay out of those aisles, it's a lot healthier for you. So think, when you're grocery shopping, think 90% of what I'm going to be getting is going to be fruits, vegetables, those kinds of things, and then nuts and seeds are good because they are protein, and they also have the good omega oils for us. And then stay out of the other aisles where everything is processed and everything is kind of more processed and more junk food that's not as healthy for you. So if you eat this way, a lot of times it helps with issues like diabetes and cholesterol and heart disease and blood pressure. If you stay away from the processed foods, even though we sometimes like them and they're easier, and we try to eat foods that are more in a natural state. So it does, I mean, it's preventative medicine, basically. You are what you eat, and Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said, let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food, meaning for us to be healthy and to heal and to eat more foods that are in their natural state. So, any questions? Any thoughts or anything? Anybody have any ideas? No questions? Okay, and then, so you can buy sprouted grains also. If you look in the store, you can buy sprouted rice. So by buying these grains, a lot of times it's easier to digest them, and sprouting means that they take the grains, they soak them, and then they soak them for a certain amount of time, and they just let them soften up so that it's easier for us to digest them and process them. Sometimes I tell people if, they have maybe food allergies or food issues or whatever, I say to them, what you should do is go plant-based for a week, which means don't eat any animal products for a whole week, if you could do that. So you'd eat whole grains, fruits, nuts, vegetables, and see how you feel. And then after a week, after you clean your system out, then you can little by little add something to see how you feel. Add a little dairy and see if the dairy makes you congested, mucousy, bothers your stomach, gives you GI issues. Because you're clean now and you would know. And then you wait a day or two and see you have some red meat and see what it does. Does it make you constipated? Does it make you bloated? How do you feel after you have it? And then on and on, do it with chicken, do it with other things that you eliminated, and that way you can tell, because there is no one way to eat for everybody. I mean, that's what I believe. Some people cannot eat certain things, and some people can eat certain things. So you're better off seeing what works for you and what makes you feel your optimum and your best. So if you did just for about a week, if you just did like a cleansing and you just got off of animal products, and then introduce them after about a week, just to see how you feel and see how you tolerate it and how your body reacts to it. So some of the other things I was going to say too, I don't know if people not everybody likes mushrooms, but mushrooms are really good to make, like portobello mushrooms. You can use them kind of like people cut them up and use them like a steak on a sandwich, or I really like them. I either bake them or I saute them in a little bit of olive oil with some herbs and garlic and a little bit of salt. And then sometimes I make them on sandwiches, or I throw them over a salad, or I like mushrooms a lot. Mushrooms are good, they have a lot of vitamin D in them, and they're meaty, like if you were eating a piece of meat or something. So a lot of people do like them for that reason. So, okay, any questions? Anybody have any questions? I'm gonna keep asking it. Go ahead.
Are there any foods that are especially good for type 2 diabetes?
Now, what is it? I'm sorry.
Any foods that are especially good for type 2 diabetes?
Well, the best things would be to eliminate really like all the processed foods, because that's going to spike your blood sugar. And so white flour, white sugar, white rice, because what they do is it's not in its original state, and they strip it of all its fiber and bran and minerals and vitamins when you get flour like that, and it just makes your sugar go sky high. I mean, it really is not healthy for you. You would find, because that bread, if you get that bread, the Food for Life, the Ezekiel bread, that what it does is it actually doesn't spike your glycemic, and it says it on the bag, like a low glycemic, meaning if you're taking insulin and you eat that and you're thinking, well, it's going to be like white bread, I better add some more insulin, and you take that, it's going to make your sugar be low because of the effect of it. with that bread. Now, I know some people say, don't eat bread, don't eat grains, don't eat this, whatever it is. I don't believe that, because I think that we need them, and that we need the carbs. You know, you need the carbs for energy. So, I don't know, do you have Netflix by any chance? Okay. There's 2 great videos that I recommend people to watch. One of them is called Forks Over Knives. Have you heard it before? I can write it down for you after the class. And the other one is called What the Health, Health, and they're great documentaries because they talk about what's happening with the food industry and the food that we're eating and how it's making people sick. And so it's kind of like it's a catch-22. They eat the food is processed, it's not healthy, then they get sick, and they have to go to the doctors, and they have to go on pharmaceuticals, and they get side effects, then they go in the hospital, and they eat the food in the hospital too, and then they come out, and it's, you know, just a vicious cycle like that. And so doing something that's preventative, that's more holistic and you're more consciously aware of the food choices, makes a big difference. So, Forks Over Knives talks about what the food is doing, and if you start watching those, there's probably 30 of them. There's one called Cowspiracy, and I always recommend that people watch them because they are a real eye-opener, and we just go, oh my gosh, okay, this is going on in the food industry, and it's, you know, your choice whether you choose those foods or not. And the other one, What the Health, is really good because it's doctors that take patients. You know, one of the guys on there is on 15 medications, and he's got diabetes, and he's on insulin, and he's taking insulin during the day, all day long, and he gets off of most of his drugs working with these physicians, and they show you how they do that. They put him on a plant-based diet, and he gets off of most of his medications, and he's physical, he's active, he's doing all kinds of stuff. And it's just, you know, it comes back to us having that willpower and that strength to be able to say no, you know, when you see the donuts and you see whatever. And I'm not like that radical that I say, okay, you have to go vegan, you gotta be plant-based, you can't have a donut once in a while, whatever. But if you really eat clean most of the time, and you eat consciously and you eat that way, and then you try to eat something, you're not gonna feel it. You know what I'm saying? Because your body's not used to it, and it's really clean. Like if you went and ate a donut or something, because your sugar would go sky high, and you wouldn't feel good, and you wouldn't be able to process it either. So, I mean, we're not perfect, you know, and we all slip here and there, whatever, eating, you know, someplace where we go, oh God, I shouldn't have eaten that because my stomach is bothering me or whatever, you know, greasy potato chips or whatever it is. But we're human, and we make those mistakes. And then we just go back and we say, okay, I shouldn't have eaten that. I'm gonna not eat it again. But overall, are you on insulin? You could get to where you're not eating medication, but you have to be really strict. You'd have to be really strict. Another thing that they have come out with the research with diabetes, it came out, I don't remember, a couple of years ago, where the more fat that people eat, it tends to close off our cells, and then we cannot absorb insulin the way we should be. So basically, if you can think about the less fat that you eat, okay, like say animal, you know, meat's got a lot of fat, chicken has a lot of fat, you know, all these different, dairy has a lot of fat, the less cholesterol. Because there's cholesterol in plants too, but it's a different kind of cholesterol. That doesn't raise your cholesterol in your blood work. It doesn't affect you physically. So the more animal products you eat, you know, and I kind of tell people, I say to them, if you're gonna eat animal products, just eat it one day a week and make it like your Sunday or your Saturday and your day that you have family together and that you wanna eat animal products, and do it one day a week, but don't eat it. You know, our culture today, they eat bacon for breakfast, they eat burgers for lunch, and then they eat steak for dinner, and it's making people overweight, it's making people with a lot of health issues, and it's not the way we're supposed to be eating. And so we just kind of have to rethink the way we're thinking and just be proactive with our decisions and what we're doing. So the less processed and the less animal products that have fat is going to be better for you. And those videos are really be good for you to watch, because for me, you know, I think about this, I'm 62 and I've been teaching about this for 30 years, and so I can't, in the short amount of time when I do these classes, I can't cover everything that needs to be covered. But I can give you one of my cards, and you can send me an email if you have any questions or any suggestions. And I do post recipes on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and so when I'm making things, because people don't know what to eat, you know, and things too, like beans are really high in fiber, they lower your cholesterol, they're a protein, and there's so many different kind of beans that you can eat. There's black beans, azuki beans, pinto beans, you know, red beans, lentils, you know, that you can make. And they're not difficult to make if you just buy them. You can buy them dry and then just sort them and wash them and then soak them overnight. Then you cook them the next day maybe for about an hour and put whatever kind of vegetables you want to throw in there, and garlic or whatever. And then you have beans for the week, and they'll last for, you know, 3 or 4 days. And that would be good for you too, because that would help lower your blood sugar. So it's protein, it's a good source of protein, it's a good source of fiber, and it's nutritious. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah.
How can a kid be able to slowly move into these bigger decisions to get healthier?
Well, how old are you?
11.
11. Do you have Netflix at home? You could probably watch those 2 videos to get some ideas and to educate yourself. And you know, you can also get my email, and I'll help you out with it, with emails. But for example, for you, like when you go to school, you know, take carrots for a snack, take celery with a nut butter on it, maybe some raisins, you know, they call them nuts on a log or something, you know, that kind of a thing for snacks, instead of, you know, chips in a bag or something that's processed. If you can just remember, if you buy it in a package and it's processed, that you should stay away from that. To eat more like, take an apple, take an orange, take a banana, you know, as a snack. You have to try to think of more fruits and things in their natural state. It's not complicated, because things that are processed, they take more energy and they're more expensive, you know, when you buy snacks in a package or whatever it is. You can even make your own trail mix. You know, if you bought a different assortment of different kind of nuts and put raisins and dates or whatever, you have a trail mix instead of buying a package that has trail mix already made. So try to think things like that are not already in a package, that are just like cucumber. You can take cucumber for a snack. To eat, you can even eat spinach. I just sometimes eat spinach raw. And all the fruits, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, just eat them naturally. And then for different kind of snacks, zucchini, you can also, it's a little bit bitter. I don't know if you know what it is, but zucchini, and then corn, you know, when corn's in season, you can take corn, isn't difficult to make it. You can even eat it off of the cob raw. Did you know that? It's really good. So, that help? That help with the question? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Don't do like the donuts and the cookies and the whatever it is, because it's high in sugar, and it's got a lot of salt in it, and it's not the healthiest thing. So when you're thinking snack, grab a banana, grab an apple, grab some grapes. There's so many options: peaches, nectarines, you know, when they're in season, kiwi. Just think the way nature intended to just grab for food like that. So, okay, anybody else have any questions? Just try and go, if we just think to stay away from, like I said, the aisles in the grocery store, things that are packaged, everything that's packaged, to just stay away from it if you can. Because it's more expensive, because it's packaged and it's prepared, and it's probably worse for the environment, you know, those kinds of things. And if you just eat things, and broccoli is another thing that's you can take as a snack. If you wash it and just cut it up and eat raw broccoli, it's really good. And if you put it in a little bit of hummus, you know, hummus is like it's like a dip, you know, a dip with chickpeas, which I talked about earlier. But broccoli is, I love broccoli. I mean, I could eat broccoli every single day, and I love just lightly sauteing it or lightly steaming it. Again, I do garlic and ginger like an Asian with some soy sauce and a little bit of, I wanted to bring up too, I was gonna talk about cayenne pepper. Because cayenne pepper is great to put on anything. It's good to add because it increases your circulation, it's antiviral, it's antibacteria, it's wonderful. You can't use too much of it because it's hot and spicy, but if you make a little bit of avocado, you cut it up, you can put a little cayenne pepper on it, and I try to eat it every day. I try to add it in something that I'm eating because it's just, I love the way it makes me feel, you know, it just gets your circulation going, and it has heat to it. So that's a real good thing to try to incorporate daily also, is cayenne pepper. You probably don't know, do you know what that is? You have to be careful, because if you touch it, you have to wash your hands afterwards, and don't touch your face or your eyes, because it can burn it really bad. So, but it's like a red hot pepper, it's hot. So I wouldn't recommend it for you, but I would recommend it for the adults, unless your mom or your dad help you with it, using it. But it's hot. And some people like spice. I like to have spice because I think jalapenos, any of those things get your circulation going. They fight bacteria, you know, and kill germs and kill viruses and stuff like that. So those are things. So it's going back to using food medicinally and not using things that are processed and not using things that are like over-the-counter medications. Trying to go back to the way nature intended. So, anybody else? Any questions? All right. Well, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. And you live in a beautiful city, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Very fortunate to live here. It's wonderful. And you all have a good day. And if you have any questions, you can contact me by email. Thank you.